had to come over with a pretty little big truck, but took the wrenches out.
All right, thank you. I see it is the 11th hour.
There we go.
Due time. We'll call the May 17th, 2021 Town of Somerville Planning Commission to order. First order is the approval of minutes from the meeting on April 19th. Do I have any additions or corrections to those? Hearing none, we will accept them as submitted. Second order of business is a public hearing, a request to rezone TMS number 137-06-11002, located at 404 West Richardson Avenue, approximately 0.60 acres, owned by William A. and Francis L. Harbison, from GR2 General Residential to GR5 General Residential in Council District 2. Are the petitioners here?
I'm representing.
You're representing? All right. Would you like to talk about this or?
Sure.
Certainly.
My name is Mike Taylor. I'm representing the Harbisons on this rezoning from a GR2 to a GR5. I currently have the property under contract, and the way that house sits far to the right, I'm looking to split the property so that I can build a house on the corner. I live here in town, right off of West 2nd South Street, and I'm looking to build a house on that corner. The way that house sits right now, that corner just kind of sits out there by itself. It looks undeveloped with the two driveways coming in. It looks like at some point there may have been something on that corner, maybe another house or some sort of building. The existing Sears house is only about 5 feet off the property line on the right. I have met with just about everybody on that block. I've gotten written approval, and I've gotten verbal approval from the other residents on that block. So that is what I've submitted for.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Okay.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak to this on this public hearing?
Yes.
My name is Gary Brewer. I live at 209 South Laurel Street, which is right across the street from that property. First of all, that house, the house we live in, my family's owned for 80 years. There was never any other building or in that vacant part of that lot. Second of all, nobody has contacted, and I'm here with two other members that they have property right alongside me and one house down. And we've never been contacted at all, but if we hadn't seen the sign, we wouldn't have even known it was going on. After going to town hall the other day and checking and looking into it and getting the requirements for GR2 and GR5 and stuff like that, we are really concerned. Personally, I don't want to see a house built, but the three of us will agree to another house being built there as long as it remains GR2. Because once it goes to GR5, you can put townhomes on it, you can put smaller dwellings on it, and that is in the requirements of GR5. And I don't want to see that, and neither do these other people. I mean, he can say he's going to build one, but he also just said he's contacted everybody around it, and three of us hadn't heard one word about it until about a week ago when we saw the sign. So, I mean, we're in agreement. We will agree to the GR2, but we are totally against GR5 because next thing I know, I mean, years ago, Ayers put a bunch of apartments right behind our house. They got them in there and nobody knew a damn thing about them, excuse the French, but that's exactly it until they showed up. And I don't want that to happen across the street from us. And neither do these other two property owners. If you have any questions, I'm more than happy to try to answer them. But we would like to try to maintain the integrity of that street as much as we can.
I just have one question, sir. Do you know what your zoning is?
Yeah, it's GR5, and I just found that out. And nobody, see, the thing about it, that house that I'm in, we've been there, our family's had it for 80 years. I know my father never agreed to change it to a GR5 or anything, because he had to fight. Going back, when they put the apartments in there, next thing I know, the town shows up and runs a sewer line right down our driveway to the apartments. It took my father 1.5 years to get that sewer line closed up and stuff. He would have never approved switching to a GR5. And there are the other two people that are here, they live in the Welch's house, which some of y'all may remember Ms. Welch and Caroline and all the others and stuff. I don't think the Welches would have ever approved it. The other one, David Hardwell lives next door to me. And we moved in there, when I moved in there 70 years ago, the Schultzes lived there. And there's been several owners since then. So they may have been approached and they may have agreed to change the residential code. But I honestly don't think so. I think it was just changed without anybody knowing about it, you know. So, I mean, you can switch us back to GR2 any minute, and we don't have any problems at all.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes.
Is there anyone else who wants to make a comment?
I'm Tom Haskell. I live at 213 South Laurel Street. We just purchased the residence 14 months ago, so we are new to the area. I did not know what a GR2 was or a GR5, the difference between the two, until it was explained to me. I had no idea that we were a GR5 at that time, until it was explained to me that we actually were a GR5. I agree with Gary. We're not opposed to another home. Everything that he said, I agree with. I'm not opposed to another home being built across the street. I don't see the reason for rezoning it to a GR5 for any reason if they want to put one dwelling up there. The GR5 to rezone them so they could put several dwellings on there, let's say townhouses. That would be the only reason I can see doing that. If you want to put multiple residents on one piece of property, then that's our major concern. We're not trying to stop any building from happening up there. We just don't want to have a large complex go up across the road. Like you already said, we have a complex out and back. It's fairly well hidden. It doesn't disturb us in any way, but we don't want something directly out in front of a house like that either.
Good. Thank you. Is there any other comments? No, not generally. We may ask you some questions in a little bit. If there's no further comments, I'm going to close this public hearing. And we'll move on to our order of business. There being no old business, we'll take up the new business. Do we have any street names, Jessica?
No, sir.
No new street names. And the next order of business is the request to rezone TMS number 137-06-11002, located at 404 West Richardson Avenue, approximately 0.60 acres, owned by William A. and Frances L. Harbison, from GR2 General Residential to GR5 General Residential, County District 2. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second? I'll second it for purposes of discussion. Any comments from commissioners?
I have a question.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
You first.
Jesse, would you clarify the differences between GR2 and GR5, please?
The primary difference between GR2 and GR5 is the minimum lot size. GR2 has a minimum lot size of 20,000 square feet, which is why he needs to rezone to GR5 if he wants to subdivide the lot, because it's not large enough to, with the house, it's not large enough to subdivide. And the minimum lot size for GR5 is 8,500 square feet. They have slightly different setbacks. GR5 only allows for townhomes if the entire block is townhomes. It does not allow for townhomes on just a single lot. It has to be the entire block that's townhomes. That's the only way townhomes are allowed in GR5.
And the history on the east side of Laurel Street being in our zoning map as GR5 is,
That was done well before I started with the town 13 years ago, so I honestly don't know.
but the average lot size there is.
My guess is because of the lot size,
Small.
yes. Because as you can see from the map,
I
those
noticed
those
that.
lots
Yeah,
are
there's several that are quite
smaller than
small.
most of the other ones.
So it's easier to do that than having non-conforming, otherwise.
Yeah, to build
Homogeneous
to
zone.
build a house on this lot, his only options were to request a variance,
Right.
or to rezone and then subdivide.
Well, my comment is when I saw the sign go up and I saw that before, I think our packet came through in our email about the rezoning, it disturbed me somewhat just because of rezoning the corner of an entire block that is otherwise all GR2. And so I wondered what it was about, got the email and read that it was intended to still be residential and was not as, concerned, but I had concerns over it initially, not knowing what the zoning was going to be changed, what the request was. And I think Jesse's explanation clarifies it a lot to me.
Tom?
Yes, I've had the pleasure of speaking both to Mr. Taylor and to Gary Brewer about this situation, and it seems like there's a middle ground that, if what I understand is correct, is it would accommodate everybody. And I just want to make sure. First, Mr. Taylor, you indicated that your only desire was to build one single residential house on the property. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And you're not intending to attempt to do townhomes. Is that correct?
Not only am I not considering it, I wouldn't be.
Okay.
Only a single family residence.
Okay. And then, Mr. Brewer, when we spoke, your concern was multiple units being there besides one. And at the time, you and I were not aware of the limitation that the whole block would have to be rezoned in order for townhomes to be constructed. Does this provision of GR5 satisfy your concerns and your neighbors' concerns about that?
I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah.
I read through it and didn't state that.
Right, yeah. But now having now we got a clarification of the zoning. If it goes to GR5 with Mr. Taylor's intention to only build a single unit and the prohibition against building townhomes unless the whole block is rezoned, and the whole block then also has to become townhomes. Is that correct, Jesse? Two steps would have to take place.
That's correct. And also, since this is a historic district, those other homes on the block would have to be approved by the BAR to be demolished.
Yeah.
Which would be highly difficult given the other homes on that block.
So, yeah.
Correct. Yes, sir.
would have to be. So it sounds like there's plenty of protections already in the law to address the concerns you told me about. And I just want to make sure, are there any others that you or your neighbors have besides that? Yes, ma'am.
The couple that Mr. Taylor is buying that property from,
Mhm.
they own that entire block across the street.
No, just that side. Laurel Street.
Right.
They're saying the entire block.
But their house is right across the street.
They own this piece right
So
here.
if they decided they wanted to sell that as well, is that not enough property?
No, it'd have to be the whole block.
Okay,
And as just
Whole
explained,
square.
it's historical district
okay.
and it'd be awful hard to change something in there. Now, but I want to make sure your concern, this addresses your concerns because you had some valid points and those are valid concerns to bring up. Mhm.
That was our biggest concern. So it specifically states, just to make sure that we understand this correctly. Only a home after subdividing into two parcels can be used as a house.
Is that
Single residential.
a single residential home?
I mean, as with any of y'all's properties, you could also put an accessory dwelling unit, but it's limited in its size to 50% of your existing home.
Okay.
So I can't just say, yes, only one single family home. You could technically have an accessory dwelling unit, but so could y'all. So
Right, such as a
And-
garage.
However, you would have to meet the percentage for impervious.
yeah, I mean, there's other things you have to meet, but
Mhm.
yes,
And the
for the
BAR.
primary use, the only thing he could build is a single family home.
And whatever he builds has to go through BAR also.
Correct, yeah.
Since
And then
this
you
is
will have the
historic district.
opportunity to see what he proposes to build as well, because it will have to be approved by the BAR.
Mhm.
What's gonna happen to Sears?
I was gonna say, are you going to remodel
It's
that?
just gonna be on a, I mean, he's just proposing to build the lot, build on this lot. This will remain.
That is correct.
Well, what concerns me, the reason I'm asking is because the house, if you face my house, the house on the left, they haven't done a darn thing to the house. In fact, the house really should be condemned. I mean, water's almost going into the house every clip.
This house here,
Which,
On, across, next door to mine,
where do you live, Gary?
209. Right across the street from,
Right about where that.
yeah. Now, I'm just about there.
You're blocked off of West Richardson. Are you the first house
No, I'm
on?
the second.
Second,
I'm
okay.
talking about the first.
You're talking about the first, yeah.
And I would hate to. There's a fellow that said he sat on our front porch when Sears house was delivered, constructed. So, I mean, I would hate to see that house go into such disarray. Sears house, you know, because of lack of.
Well,
Uh,
Mr. Taylor, you shared your visions for that. You want to share with everybody else what you shared with me at least. Do you mind sharing with everyone else what your intentions are to do on the new property and the old property?
Yes, sir, absolutely. I've lived in Somerville all my life, so I'm a contractor here. Trying to make things look nice and do the right thing, so I'm not trying to put something over there that's gonna be non-conforming. Want to put a modest house, something around 2,500 square feet. It's gonna be my family and I, most likely. The Sears house, I'm gonna do some things to it, but it's actually in pretty good shape. Just gonna remodel the inside in pretty good shape and the outside in that shape too, so. Maybe just extend that driveway with some gravel. Other than that, that's probably about all that'll happen with that. Maybe a fence. But I really don't have any intentions for that house other than to, maybe add some rock and put in a fence and make it look better. There's a chance that I'll sell it. It's an option, or I might rent it. But those are the only two options on the table. I would either sell it or rent it, and then I would put my house.
And that would be, you intend that to be your residence for your family? Okay. Do you neighbors have any other concerns? I want to make sure I understand from both points of view here. Okay. Gary, is that good for you? Okay. Okay. Good. Thank you. That's all I have. 'Cause I was concerned, and I'm glad there seems to be a middle ground and a meeting place here with, once everybody got to talk about it.
So
So
I think we all are.
Can we amend the motion to reflect our discussion?
I don't think it would be necessary.
Okay.
I mean, we can, but I don't know that it'd be necessary. The zoning really takes care of the concerns. Anyone else?
Tell you first.
My concern is, Gary, you and Mr. Hassel, y'all are challenging Mr. Taylor to being a GR5, and y'all are GR5s.
I stated earlier, I just found that out just a few days ago. We
Do-
had no idea.
Do you have any idea you appeal that, or you just leave it as it is?
You don't put us at GR2 today. I don't care about that because we didn't request it.
Right.
And I'm the only person that's on that part of the block that even lived there long enough to. My father was there for 75 years. I know he wouldn't have approved it. My grandfather bought the place 5 years before that. And stuff. So, I mean, you know, I just have all ideas that somehow or another that place became GR5 without any of the residents knowing. Long before y'all. I'm not saying y'all had it.
Gary, it may have come about probably when your grandfather bought the place, there was no zone. So as we,
Zoning is relatively new for us as a town.
right. So as we move through the evolution of creating zoning maps and what have you, a great deal of it was done by what's on the lot now, a single family house.
I have all ideas. And they put the apartments. Most likely, the zoning map was done after that. That entire block came to our. There's, in fact, actually, right behind our house, Dr. Wiley and,
Taylor,
two doctors. They had their
Wiley
house.
and Taylor,
Yeah,
Logan
Taylor.
Taylor.
No,
I'm looking forward to it.
Dr. Wiley and somebody.
Missouri?
No.
Way, GS Way was over there.
It's not.
It's not.
Oh,
Okay.
yes, he lived on something.
Kevin?
Mr. Taylor, what's the size of the current lot? And if you were to subdivide it, which would each be?
The way it's set up, it actually will divide very nicely. The frontage will be 80 and 80, and the way the driveways are set up, nothing would be changed. So coming off of Richardson, that driveway works out perfectly as it goes down to Sears house. I would assume someone would want to pull down the side and maybe park in the back. That's how you access the kitchen. And then off Laurel, there's already a driveway that you can see there. It's been in place for years, you can tell, but that would be the access to the new property would be through the back, basically.
So they would roughly be 8,000 square foot each?
No,
It says
it says
15.
15,760.
Is that the new lot, Jess, at 15?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And what is the current, the Sears house,
The square footage,
yeah, of the lot?
It's
it would
same.
be the same thing. They would both be 15,760, right on the dot. And the Sears house is approximately 2,000 square feet, so it's a modest style house. And like I said, on the corner there, I'm not looking to put a 5,000 square foot house, something around 2,500 square feet would be perfect.
Thank you.
Yes.
Anyone else?
Until last week, I had no idea what the difference between GR2 and GR5 was. And what is different from what you do before? And then you do GR5, the block would have to be GR5. We don't need the townhouses on.
Okay.
And interior on the house. I don't see that now.
Right. But you guys are okay now with it?
I'm okay with that.
Okay.
We had no problem. We didn't do there again with the one.
Okay.
We just wanted to agree. Someone had mentioned to me, maybe they could just get a variance on the GR2 for him to be able to build one. And just leave it.
Well, it
And
would,
the issue with just getting a variance is then you you're dealing with nonconformities in the future, and it's just,
And then shouldn't he ever
yeah.
want to go to transfer the ownership of the Sears house, say to a child that grew up and he wanted, they have their house, I have my house. It's impossible to do under a variance. It still has to be subdivided. So you have to do that. It's just a matter of real property laws. Okay, is there anything further from the commission? If not, we have a motion and a second on the floor. I'll call for the question. All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. All right. I think that concludes most of the agenda. Do you have anything under miscellaneous, Jesse?
No, sir?
I will point out that for those of us that haven't done our training, there are some opportunities that are popping up from time to time.
Tomorrow.
There is one tomorrow. I tend to set in on it, so
Okay.
it's at 1
1
o'clock.
o'clock.
All right, if there's nothing else, I'll entertain a motion.
I move to adjourn.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? So be it.
Did you? That's been a long time.
Well, that has to do with statements. I'm learning that by the chapter, and I'm in Germantown, and I'm in the section that, this will sound terrible, Tom, but I think they got ulterior plans, they want to see how much they can push it.